Okay, so good morning everyone, and thank you very much for joining us. My name is Chris Uren from SFW. I'm going to be chairing today's session. I'd also like to introduce Joel and Rob, my colleagues who are here with me. They're going to be presenting the Plaza solution and answering any questions you may have. So today's audience is mostly split between corporate communication staff and IT staff. We're hoping we're going to be able to accommodate all of you and you'll all see something of interest. So here is our agenda for today. I'm going to start with a very quick introduction to SFW. I'm going to set the scene about what we're here to talk about. I will do my best to keep this to only a few minutes, and then I'll hand over to Joel, who will run a demonstration of the platform, which really does form the main part of today's webinar. We'll then have a brief overview of how SFW Plaza can be deployed in just 4 weeks before finally taking some questions. Just before we do start, a few little points of housekeeping. We will be recording this session. We will make it available for you to revisit should you wish in the future, and of course feel free to share it with colleagues who are unable to attend today. We're going to take questions at the end of the session. If you would like to pose a question, please use the console to send us a message. We're going to respond to as many as possible within the time allowed, but if there is anything we don't get around to answering, we will respond after the end of the webinar. Lastly, if you do have any difficulties, please just try closing the application and rejoining. That does tend to resolve the majority of issues. So let's start with introducing SFW and our intranet product, Plaza. SFW provides digital services to our clients, and as part of that, we have been designing and implementing enterprise-scale intranets for about 15 years across a very diverse range of clients, from smaller public sector organisations to Tier 1 financial and manufacturing institutions, including Nationwide Building Society and Pepsi. What this means is that we understand the common themes that our clients are seeking, as well as the differences that are specific to each and every single organisation. We've consolidated all of this experience into SFW Plaza, which is our ready-to-go intranet product designed for deployment on the Office 365 platform. So why an intranet? I'm sure many of you are familiar with what you are seeing now on the slides, and this is the common themes that we do find come up again and again. The first one is very much about improving productivity, making it easier to collaborate on content, and then once that content is published, ensuring it is easy for users to find and actually giving them the added assurance that the information found is the latest up-to-date version. The second is to improve communications throughout your organisation. Might be driven by many reasons, but the common ones include reinforcement of corporate messages, supporting organisational change, or uniting a distributed workforce. And thirdly, to reduce management overheads, enabling content editors to easily and frequently publish new content. More regular content updates also drives up usage and engagement from end users as the internet becomes the default source of information. And let's now think briefly about how organisations are approaching these intranets. Firstly, one of the cornerstones of achieving high levels of user adoption is to put the user first. This is true of any digital solution, including intranets we're talking about today. An intranet's got to be easy to use. It must be clear how it can help end users go about their day-to-day business more efficiently. Design is obviously a very important consideration. A new intranet needs to look modern such that it demonstrates progress, but organisations typically don't want to spend a fortune on design for an internally facing intranet. Our answer is a simple, elegant design that can be easily tailored for individual organisations. I know that many of you have either adapted cloud technologies or are in the transformation phase. Utilising the benefits of cloud and Office 365, SFW are able to substantially reduce delivery timescales such that you can start realising the benefits of a new intranet and your investment in cloud technologies much more quickly. And lastly, accelerated delivery timescales aren't so useful if it takes 6 months to procure your new intranet. We have a very simple licensing model designed to be transparent and keeping it simple, both for you and us. I'm now actually going to pass over to Joel, who is going to demonstrate SFW Plaza for you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Chris. Good morning, everybody. I'm Joel, and I am going to be showing you Plaza. So what you are currently looking at now on the screen is the Plaza Intranet homepage. We have configured Plaza for a fictitious housing association called Otterbury Housing, and I'm going to be using this housing association to run you through and give you an example and a sample of how Plaza works. So looking at the homepage, we have a couple of different things that I want to point out to you. Starting on the top right, we have our variety of menus, different places we can navigate through to, with a search option as well. Over here we have our two modules, Intranet and Collaboration. Each Plaza module can be purchased individually or together depending on company needs. And then moving into the core of it, first we have this carousel displaying news items. These are corporate news items, which means they're for the whole company to see from everywhere. Scrolling down a bit further, we then have personalized news items. These personalized news items are based on what the individual's role is within the company. So that can be tailored, and depending on what you want them to be able to see and what they need to see, those items will push through. But then in addition, each individual can also manage some subscribed services, which you are now looking at here. And these are things that they can choose to see or choose not to see. Again, this is just a sample of what we've put in, but these would be related and tailored to your company's specific needs. Moving down, we can then see we have on the left-hand side some key links for the company. So this would be anything that we want our staff to have access to. It could be policy libraries, Outlook web access, timesheet entries, so on and so forth. We then also have corporate events and dates coming up. Each of these dates, if we click onto them, we can then navigate through to a calendar view as well. And then on the right-hand side here, we have our embedded Yammer feed. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Yammer, Yammer is a corporate social media or social networking tool that allows your staff to chat and communicate in an informal manner relating to, obviously, corporate work. Very similar to Facebook or LinkedIn, ability to create posts, like posts, reply to posts, view conversations, tag people within the posts as well, so on and so forth. Now, each page within Plaza can have its own unique Yammer feed that will relate specifically to that page. Alrighty. Now, another thing I would like to point out to you as well is that Plaza is mobile ready. So without having to do any work, as soon as you switch to a mobile device, you lose no functionality, but it is optimized for mobile. So you can see nothing has been lost. It has just been reshuffled and reorganized to suit the needs. And that's for tablet or a mobile device. As you can see on our menu as well, we haven't lost anything. It's just been collapsed into an easy to see view. Alrighty, and then I would like to show you one of the menu options. So we won't have time to run through all of the different options and different capabilities of Plaza, but just to give you a feel, if we move into departments, we can see we can have any departments we may need. We have a look into HR. We can then find specific information. We can have news articles related to it. We can see the different policies that we have, and again, some HR related links. We could also have a Yammer feed in here as well, where HR could communicate and run through. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run through a scenario. So I'm going to assume the persona of Celine, and Celine is the head of human resources for Otterbury Housing. And as part of an internal rollout for Skype for Business, Celine's team have been using Plaza's collaboration module to update Otterbury's social media policy. So I've now switched across to the collaboration module, and on our collaboration homepage, we have a bit of information about corporate collaboration, and then we can see my working areas. So these working areas will be things that I specifically have access to, ranging from teams, groups, and projects. However, I can scroll through all of these items to find what I'm looking for. Alternatively, I can come up to the menu and I can choose a path from there. So I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to go through to Teams, and I can again have some information about my teams. I'm part of the Corporate Service Directorate, so I'm going to expand that, and there we go, Human Resources. Now again, like I said earlier, this is just a sample. This would relate to your company. So let's move into Human Resources, and here we go, I'm in HR. So once again, we have our blurb about HR, we have recent documents that we've been working on, and we have the Yammer Feed. Now this Yammer Feed is different from the one we saw previously because this is specific to HR. Unless you are an HR member and you have navigated to this page, you won't be able to see this Yammer Feed. So it's tailored to HR. Right, we are now going to open up our social media policy. And you will notice that it's opened up in Word Online. And that's because Plaza is able to draw upon the power of Office 365 and all associated softwares. So if we run through this, we can now make any editations we want to. We can save it and it'll push right back into Plaza. What's very powerful here is that we can have multiple people editing this document at the same time. Word will structure all of the editations into the correct order and apply them to the document without each of us having to wait for the previous person to finish editing the document. In addition, we can also sync a local copy of this document to our computer, work offline, go onto the train to our next meeting, come back. When we're back online, we can resync this document and all of our editations will pull through back into Plaza. So I think we can all agree that that is some really powerful stuff. Now, moving on, we have now gone through our social media policy. We are happy that everything is in order. We're going to give it the final stamp of approval, and we are going to publish the policy first thing in the morning. In the meantime, though, we need that policy to be publicized to all staff to help promote the usage of Skype for Business. So what Celine is going to do is she's going to email a colleague of hers called Martin. And Martin is our senior or head of comms for Otterbury Housing, and he is going to run through this and make it happen for her. So I'm now going to drop the persona of Celine and assume the persona of Martin Jones. Now, Martin Jones, I received the email from Celine asking me to publicize the document. Reply, not a problem, Celine, I can take care of that. Now I want to find out a bit more information about the document, but I'm not sure exactly who to speak to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to return back to our intranet home page. I'm going to navigate down to the People section. And within the People section, I now have a directory of all staff within Otterbury Housing Association. We have a search criteria as well as filter criteria. So let's start by applying a search criteria to this. And we're going to say policy. We're looking for people within the company that are able to edit policies. And we can see we have two names returned, Ethan and Marco. Now, obviously within this situation, I only have 25 staff members because it's a demo environment. But we know in a live organization, I can have anywhere from 50 to a couple of thousand staff members. And it's going to be quite difficult to find who I'm looking for. So I can then shift across to our directory on the side. I can shift across to our directory on the side, and I'm going to add a filter, Human Resources, and there we go, Ethan Duran. So I know he's the one who works with policies, and he's associated to the department that I need. So with Skype for Business integrated into Plaza, I can directly start a communication with Ethan from here. I can start a live chat with him, or I can call him without having to do any work. It integrates automatically with no effort, no coding required. So after a brief chat with Ethan, I'm now ready to create my news article. So I'm going to navigate to the news page. And as I'm navigating there, I've just had an IT staff member run into my office and ask me, please, can we create a global alert? There is about to be an issue with the servers and they're going to have to go down, so no staff members are going to be able to do their timesheets. So not a problem, we can do that. We're going to create a global alert. So to create this global alert to alert all of our staff, we're going to move across to the top right-hand side of our screens to the settings menu, to that little cog. We're then going to navigate down to site contents. Now I'd like to point out at this time that where I've just navigated to, only content managers will be able to get here, not all staff members. We are effectively looking into the back end of Plaza. So here I can find my global alerts. I'm going to click on global alerts and we can create a new item. So let's click on new item. First thing I need is a title. So let's say server issues, no timesheets. And I'm sure everyone will be heartbroken that they can't do timesheets today. Moving down from our title, we can then apply a severity. So let's give it a 3. We can apply a link if we want to add more information into this. We can add a description, and we're going to give it a time to display until. So the maintenance will be the rest of today, and from tomorrow the staff will have access. And then very important, little tick box, display to all staff, or display alert to staff, and save. Done. All right. Now we're going to navigate back to our news page, and we will now have our global alert on the bottom of our screen in red, and there we go. So it will come up for all staff across all pages within Plaza. They will be able to see this alert. Once they're happy, they've noted it, they can just close it. Or if they're worried they're going to forget about it, they can leave it up until they're ready to close it. Okay. Once it times out though, that alert will close. So IT are happy, we've created an alert for them. We are now going to carry on publicizing our policy. So back to the news page, we're going to move back up to the cog on the top, and we're going to say add a page. Okay. So the first thing that's going to come up is it's going to ask us to give the page a name. So we're going to call it something nice and short. I'm just going to call it Skype for the moment. This will not be the name of our news article. This is going to be the name in the URL to our news article. We will be able to change this name in a moment. So there we go, our page is added, and we are going to take Skype out. Now I'm going to insert a better name. Okay, get ready for Skype for Business. We can then move down, we can see our page owner. So I can assign this to anyone within the organization or anyone who's appropriate to take the role. For the sake of this, we are going to leave it as that. I can apply a page date, and over here on the right, I can apply an image. So we're going to click here to insert our image. We are then going to browse for our image. Now, when the image loads up, the default location for it to load up is from our Sharepoint repository of images, which we are now looking at. However, I can also load images from our servers or from a local place within the desktop. On the left-hand side, these are all the possible file locations for images to be. Obviously, that would reflect your organization structure, so different departments can have their own images and it can all be organized correctly. So this is the image I want to use. I'm going to select it and I'm going to click Insert. Now there's a couple of different options I can run through. I can change the image rendition. I can have an alternate text for the image. I can apply a hyperlink as well. I can change the layout, the size, so on and so forth. We are happy though, so we are going to click OK. And there we go, our image has loaded. And below our image, we can also apply an image caption if we so choose. With this image as well, it doesn't matter what the size is, the SharePoint will automatically resize the image to be appropriate and fit within the document. We can then apply a summary to our document. Okay. So let me just grab our summary. And there we go. And then we can apply page content as well. Now, historically, we have never been able to copy from Word and paste directly into SharePoint. It would have created issues with the formatting. But what we have nowadays is we have a paste clean option. which allows us to paste directly from Word into SharePoint. And as it being a live demo, we have a little bit of issues with our web page. Being assist the internet connection. But no worries, we're just going to click recover and carry on as one does. And it's not very happy. Alright, so we can apply page content to this. And same story. Sorry everybody, I do apologize. Okay. Let's see, give me one more run. Isn't this just the joys? Alright, so okay, and then for the sake of speed, just to catch us back onto time, I'm going to type content for us. Scrolling down, we can then apply taxonomy and tags to our document. So within service, we can apply different departments. So this is coming from HR, we're going to apply the appropriate tag. And we can then apply taxonomy. Now, we know taxonomy, everyone loves it, we enjoy doing it, but we do believe we found a happy medium of getting all of the tags that we need and being able to place them in an easy to do manner, so we can do it repeatedly and get it bulked out without causing a headache for our content managers. Okay. So there's all the tags we want for the moment. We can then apply a scheduling start date and end date as well. So if we don't want it to run immediately, we only want it to start from tomorrow when the policy goes live, or whatever the case is, we can apply that over there. We can also add a roll-up image, and we have the option to show a Yammer feed as well. So we don't always want to show the Yammer feed, but in this instance, we do. So we're going to tick that, and happy days. And I see our image has dropped off. Let's quickly reinsert that, just to give you guys the refresh tour. Alright, so we are back into our SharePoint images. We are relocating our image, and we are inserting. Alrighty, fantastic. So we now again have our image. Now we're going to save our news article, and you will notice on the top of the screen we have this document is checked out to you. So if we check this document in, it means other staff members, potentially our managers or publishers or whatever the case is within the company, can go through, review the article first, make any amendments before publishing it. So we are now looking at a draft version of our news article, so we can see here's all the information we need, and there's the sample of our Yammer feed. So we are happy. We are now going to publish. Perfect. Okay, and we can apply some publishing comments. All right, fantastic. So happy days. Now what we're going to do is we're going to navigate back to our home page, and it is now a couple of weeks later. So a couple of weeks later, what we want to do is we want to follow up on the reception of the article. So we want to see what everyone thinks of it and how staff have been enjoying Skype. So how is everybody liking Skype for Business? Alrighty, and we can send that. So now staff will be able to post to this, reply to this, and we can generate some positive collaboration. Okay. And that is everything that I'm going to be showing you for today. So in conclusion, I would like to emphasize that what you have seen is a small sample of what Plaza is capable of. There's obviously plenty more features, but what we had a look at today is we saw that we can generate news articles, we have key links, we have a corporate calendar, an embedded Yammer feed, we can personalize our news feed, we have powerful ways of collaborating with the rest of the staff, and it is mobile ready. What is also important about the colors that we have seen today as well, and our logo, is that these can all be optimized, fonts, colors, logo, to your company's needs within minutes as well. All right. I'm now going to hand back over to Chris, who is going to talk to us a bit more about Plaza's delivery process. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks very much, Joel. I can see some questions are starting to come through already, so please do continue to ask them, and I've only got one more slide to talk you through, and then we'll go into the Q&A session. So we talked earlier on about how quickly Plaza can be implemented, and I'm just going to talk you through this process in a little bit more detail. The first phase of our implementation process is discovery. We aim to run this for about 1 week. The purpose of discovery is to understand your objectives, give you a greater insight into Plaza's features, and plan the remainder of the setup process. The outputs of discovery are concisely set out in a formal project vision document. The second phase is all about design. Again, we try to keep this to about a 1 week period. The purpose of this design phase is to help you make all the key decisions that will enable us to configure and launch Plaza. We'll look at how you can customize Plaza's look and feel, help you assess content readiness, agree your information architecture, and confirm how the service will be managed post go live. The outputs of the design phase are set out in a high-level design document, essentially confirming how Plaza will be configured and managed for you. And then we're into the third phase, develop. Slightly longer, we aim for about a 2 week period, and during this phase, this is when we will configure Plaza based upon what we have agreed with yourselves within the design phase, and critically, we will deliver training to you and your organization to ensure that when Plaza goes live, you're ready and able to use it. At the end of this phase, you will be able to make a go, no-go decision and launch and roll out Plaza to the organization. Following that, the final phase is manage, which is an ongoing phase. It starts immediately following go live. As part of the license agreement, SFW will provide quarterly product enhancement releases to help keep your intranet fresh and up to date. You'll be able to take advantage of these new features, and we do have a roadmap in place. We will also provide support, assistance on a reactive basis, but also regular service review meetings in which SFW will proactively work with you to ensure you are getting the best investment from your investment in Plaza. That actually brings us to the end of our demonstration and presentation. So it's at this point I would like to start responding to some of the questions that we have received. You can pose questions using the webinar control panel, and as we said earlier, we're going to cover as many of these as possible during the remaining time. But if we do run out of time, we will respond to every question after the webinar. So just to answer some of the questions that came in during the demo, and I'm going to hand over to my colleague Rob to try and answer some of these. So Rob, the first one is around training and what kind of training we will provide with a rollout of Plaza.
Okay, hi everyone. So training. All of our packages for rolling out Plaza come with a certain amount of training provided with them. So obviously we can prioritize our effort within the rollout in order to focus upon, upskilling, etc. if we need to. Now, essentially, in the past we've rolled out lots of different training courses for different clients. So we recognize that some clients will require more training than others, and we can provide a whole range of different training services, including specific administrator courses, train-the-trainer sessions, production of content, material for allowing clients to sort of roll out their own training as needed, and of course content editor training. So within our basic packages, I guess we provide, we assume that people have a sort of experience with SharePoint already, and we can build from those with each client as sort of a bespoke basis.
Excellent. Thank you, Rob. Next question that has come in, I'm surprised this wasn't the first question, but how much does it cost?
Okay, so the cost of Plaza depends entirely upon the number of users you've got within your particular association. So there's two separate modules. I think Joel showed us earlier. There's the Intranet module and the collaboration module, both of which are priced separately. All of the prices, I should say, are available on our website. So if you go to the SFW website, you'll be able to see a full pricing breakdown. We're trying to be as transparent as possible here. To give you a flavour, the Intranet module starts, well, the Intranet module is £5 per user per month. Now, once you get up to about 450 users, the Enterprise module, which has unlimited users, is more cost effective, and so there's various different options that should be suitable for every organisation.
Okay, thanks, Rob. Just moving down, we've had a number of questions around migration, and we talked about content readiness. People are asking, obviously we have some existing systems with content in it. How do we load those documents and content from existing systems into Plaza ready for deployment?
Okay, so there's lots of different ways of getting content into Plaza. So it depends on the type of content, obviously. We could be talking migrations from existing intranets of, let's say, news articles, various different types of policy documentation, other types of content. So part of that process is establishing how much content we're talking about. Certainly the process of getting small volumes of content in is very easy. It's something that can be undertaken in-house by all of our clients. But we can assist with these services. Certainly in the past we have rolled out extensive migrations as needed. So we could come up with solutions to migrating very small volumes right up to very large volumes where we're talking terabytes of data that need to be ported in. The complexity is often in the mapping. Hope that answers the question.
Excellent. If you do have any questions following answers, again, raise them, and we'll answer them either now if we can or offline. The next one is looking at people functionality, and it says here, where do the people come from? Will it sync with our existing directory, or do people need to be added manually? Rob?
Yeah, so people, all the people you saw there in our people page when Joel showed you earlier, they are all synchronized. Typically they're synchronized with your Active Directory. That's our most standard rollout process. So the idea is that your existing processes to change and add new staff and remove leavers from your organization should just work like they do with all the other systems you've got within your organization. Plaza will integrate seamlessly with no additional effort for you. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Question come in here. 4 weeks seems like such a short time from start to launch. Does this normally work for the clients, and how much work is required to get to this stage? i.e., if someone has a very large intranet, how does that need to be broken down, content perspective? So it ties into our earlier migration question as well.
Okay. So 4 weeks is a very short time. We pride ourselves on being incredibly fast at rolling out intranets. Technically, we can install Plaza in hours. The process of getting Plaza from an installation to being ready for you, live and up and running, obviously will vary by organization. Essentially, if the number of configurations and customizations are minimal, and if the organization is ready in terms of having already defined their taxonomy and having a good understanding of who they would like to control different areas of Plaza, the process can be literally in a matter of weeks, certainly if we've already got some content that's ready to go. But obviously, depending on some organizations we work with, it takes longer than 4 weeks, realistically, to port over existing content to train up staff. But certainly there's nothing stopping us from rolling out an intranet in 4 weeks or even less if the organisation we're working with is ready to do so.
Okay, thanks, Rob. What other modules do we offer? Can you provide a document resource on Plaza?
At the moment, we've just got the two modules. So we've got the intranet and the collaboration. We're certainly looking at potentially rolling out new modules in the future to cover other areas, but we feel that those two provide the core facilities. Within each, you might have noticed there's a breakdown of different functions. So you might have seen in the top navigation there's departments and services and how do I, etc. All of those can be turned on or turned off So behind the scenes, there's an administration tool that makes it very easy to tailor the specific parts of Plaza that you're seeing. Can you provide a document resource on Plaza? So we've got extensive documentation that supports Plaza. I'm not sure I'm answering this question quite right. Do let me know in the comments if I'm not. But we do have quite extensive documentation in terms of user guidance that we provide to our clients that hopefully will, provide them with explanations on how they can tailor certain things and how they can use different areas of the application.
Okay, excellent. Questions come in on structure. The structure you've demoed doesn't match my organisation. Can new sections be added to the intranet's navigation?
Yes, absolutely. So the navigation is fully customizable by any client. The top navigation you saw there, existing clients have changed the names around. So instead of saying departments, it says partners and departments, or whatever they want to reflect in that area. And yeah, certainly there's nothing stopping you taking whole sections that you don't want and just turning it off. So you don't have to have, let's say, how do I if you don't want how do I.
Okay. Thank you. Let's just look down the list. Okay, got one here. Thanks for the demo. Would have been good to see the wiki functionality. Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate, it's quite a high-level overview. Also, it carries on. We're well down the road using Yammer, and we use it as our intranet. Why would we need Plaza?
Well, good question. So there's nothing stopping us building wikis on the side of Plaza. There's nothing stopping us doing that as a configuration for clients. The reason that we haven't is essentially that wikis themselves are sort of organically growing. So they're different within each organization. The basis of the wiki is provided to you by SharePoint Online. So there's not a lot of value add that we as SFW can provide that is sort of generic and productized in that area. But the value add that we can provide is more in that consultancy, making that wiki specific for your needs. Hence why it's not in the core product. Regarding Yammer, we agree. Yammer is a phenomenal tool when it comes to some elements of providing an intranet. Now, I guess there's lots of debate out there as to what an intranet is and where the future of intranets are going. We feel that there needs to be a level of corporate control for things like policies and corporately run news stories. Now, that's not to say that that's appropriate for every organisation, but that what we're trying to do with Plaza is incorporate the best elements of Yammer, the social collaboration elements that allow conversations to flow within your organisation, into that sort of corporate governance layer. So you've got the best of both worlds. What we found is that for some clients, when you roll out Yammer by itself, usage sort of peaks initially and then sort of tapers off. And when you roll out an intranet by itself, you often end up with a similar pattern. People go to the home page or don't use other functions. But where we've embedded Yammer directly into the site itself, we found with existing clients that there's actually sort of a pattern where you see usage not just spike initially, but sort of go on, so that people actually see it as a changing and evolving tool. We feel that we've got a reasonable balance there.
Okay, thanks, Rob. We've got a few minutes left, so we'll try and answer a couple more questions if we can. Something's come in. Which mobile phones does Plaza support, and does it work on Macs?
Okay, yeah, as you saw, it's a responsive site. Plaza will work on any mobile device that is supported by Office 365. Likewise, it will work on Macs, because I believe Macs are supported by Office 365. So essentially, our intention with Plaza is to not inhibit what you're doing with your Office 365 tenancy. We're trying to provide the same level of support and service that Microsoft does. So if your device isn't supported by Office 365, obviously it's an exception to the rule, but most devices, I believe, are.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Search. Does the search function search within documents or just pages?
Both. Search goes across both documents and pages. So yeah, essentially the majority, there'll be documents that are stored within the intranet module and a lot of documents within collaboration, because obviously collaboration provides a basis for document management. Now, the search results will pull back results from across the board, from within the collaboration module and within the Intranet module. So you're seeing a combination of different results in the same centralized location.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Rob. Another one has come in about features, and if we use your intranet, would we need to have all of the features?
As I mentioned earlier, yeah, we could. What we didn't show you in the demo is behind the scenes there's sort of a administration page that we can go to. We basically will show you this as part of the rollout, but your administrators yourselves will be able to go to that page, and it's actually not just a turn on, turn off process, but you can. There's a 3-stage process. Which, let's say you didn't want how do I right now, you could have how do I turned off. There's a middle stage between turning it on where we allow content editors to create content there but visitors not to see it. So essentially there's a get it ready for, preparing for launch is what we call it, a sort of interim stage there as well. So we're trying to provide as much flexibility as you can. Additionally, new functions, when we launch them, we're trying to have minimal impact on you going forwards. We recognise it's an evergreen service, so sometimes we have to react to what Microsoft's done on the platform. But when we're adding whole new features, we're deploying them in a turned off state, so that your organisation doesn't walk in on a Monday morning and suddenly find an empty area bolted on the side of their intranet. The idea is that you are informed that this new area is there, and it's up to you to choose whether or not you want to turn it on, and obviously populate it with content before you do so.
Okay, thank you. We're almost out of time, so I'm just going to ask one more question. A couple of people have mentioned this, and it's in response to a question we responded to earlier, saying when we were talking about document resources, actually that was more of a document management.
Yes,
yeah. So I think probably it's quite a good one if we just go back and try and readdress that if we can, and anything we've not done, like we say, we'll send out after the webinar.
Of course, okay. So the collaboration facility within Plaza has been designed with document management at its heart. It's designed, what we didn't show you is there's a request process that allows you to create new, what we call working areas. The HR site that we showed you in the demonstration was actually a working area. And what we're trying to do is leverage all the best parts of Microsoft's architecture and allow us to get around some of the disadvantages of using it to its maximum. So what we're doing is we're using separate, I don't want to get too technical, but we're using separate site collections, and we've got our own provisioning tool which creates site collections on the fly. And this means that essentially it's taking away the effort that would be on your IT team if they were trying to do this manually, while at the same time ensuring that you don't run into some of the issues that many people do within document management in SharePoint, such as file paths being running out of characters for the names of documents, etc., because there's 250 character limits and that sort of thing. We've also managed to get around data quotas. Now I know that Microsoft's just increased the size that you can take a site collection to, but essentially by having multiple site collections, we're getting around some of those data capacity issues. So anyway, the short message is that we've built this specifically for document management. And the engine that's behind Plaza is being used by enterprise scale document management and EDRMS systems, so for their full records management. So just to give you a flavour, the Home Office right now are rolling out a new SharePoint Online electronic document and records management system. And they're using the same provisioning engine that underpins Plaza's collaboration module for the basis of their future EDRMS solution. So can Plaza be used for EDRMS? Well, in theory, yes. If the out-of-the-box compliance, I know Microsoft about a month ago, Ignite conference just announced new facilities around compliance that they're bringing out over the next 6 months or so. If those out-of-the-box facilities, when Microsoft does implement them, provide sufficient coverage for your compliance, then yes, Plaza's collaboration provides you with the full EDRMS package in one go. Likewise, we work with partner organisations such as RecordPoint and Automated Intelligence, and we can actually plug into their APIs so that we can apply their records management solutions over the top of Plaza's collaboration facility to make it an extensible solution. I hope that gives more details. I don't want to go too techy on this.
Okay, that's probably a topic we can talk about for hours in its own right, but we have come to the end of our allotted time. There are a few little questions outstanding that we'll respond to. Firstly, obviously, thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour of Plaza. There's a lot more there that we haven't got time to show you today. So if there is something else you want to see, or you do have any further questions, please do send them to us at any point, and we'll answer them then. But in the meantime, like we said, we will make this recording available to you all, and thank you very much for your time.